Last video we looked at the uClass macro. Today we look at another macro that you probably will use a lot, the UFUNCTION macro. So when you create a new function, there might be cases where you have to mark them as UFUNCTION. Basically, the UFUNCTION macro makes your function work in the Unreal Engine ecosystem. For example, connecting them with blueprints or some type of event delegates. Like the uClass macro, you can add certain specifiers to your uFunction that change how the function behaves. I will show you some useful ones today, but I will again put a link to a list of all specifiers in the description. The first specifier that is important to know is the blueprint callable specifier. Maybe you have already encountered the problem that you declare a function, but then you are unable to call it in Blueprint. And this problem gets fixed by blueprint callable. And just add it to your uFunction macro and you will see that you are able to call it in Blueprint. Sometimes you just want to implement a function in Blueprint, so no added functionality in C++. For that there's also a specifier. If you add blueprint implementable event to your uFunction macro, you will be able to create an event node in Blueprint where you can add your functionality. But sometimes you encounter the cases that you want to implement some things in C++ and handle additional functionality in Blueprint. For that there's another specifier, blueprint native event. If you add this to your uFunction macro, you can implement functionality in C++ and extend or override it in Blueprint. One thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to slightly adjust your function header for your implementation. Because when using blueprint native event, you have to add _implementation to your C++ version of the function. However, now if you implement the function in Blueprint, you will see that it will only execute the functionality provided in Blueprint. Because as you can see here, we log something in C++ and Blueprint, but only the Blueprint message gets logged. If you want to execute the code provided in C++, you can press right click on your Blueprint event node and select Add Call to Parent Function. Then a new node will be generated that executes the functionality provided in C++. Like the uClass macro, you can also add meta specifier to your uFunction macro. It follows the same concept. You first have to write meta equals and then parentheses. And then add the meta specifiers between the parentheses separated by commas. One useful meta specifier is blueprint protected. Usually you would be able to call blueprint callable functions from every other blueprint. However, with blueprint protected, you basically replicate the behavior of the protected keyword in C++. So that you are only allowed to use the function inside the blueprint of the class itself. You can again use the tooltip specifier to add a short description to the functionality of your function. That gets then shown when you hover over the function node in Blueprint. However, in a future video we will also discuss how you can add such information through using C++ comments. If you use comments and then the tooltip specifier to achieve this, the tooltip text has precedence. So the information you added through C++ comments gets disregarded. As you can see, the uFunction macro provides a lot of features like the uClass macro to ease the transition from C++ to Blueprint. But now with the focus on creating functions. Like mentioned before, there are far more specifiers you can use and you can find them in the first link in the description. For some of them I will make an extra video in the future. But if you already have some questions regarding specifiers, uFunction, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, see you next time.